62% of people today are experiencing significant levels of burnout. And in fact, in a global survey of over 1,500 workers, only 2% said that their well-being was excellent. Because it turns out, when work is miserable, life is miserable. And it's not out of a lack of effort. Let's be clear. Companies have spent billions of dollars trying to solve this problem. Personal development, take a mental health day, yoga, and yet we're not seeing the needle moved. And my work over the last decade has been studying these trends and asking some fundamental questions about the way that we're working, because it's just not working, is it? And so what is the fundamental challenge? What is the thing that we're ignoring as we attempt to improve? We say, you don't have to send any emails at night, you don't have to have meetings on Friday, which would be great if those emails weren't still there in my inbox, right? Here's the problem. There are an infinite number of things pulling at your most finite resource. And until we design work with the most finite resource that we have in mind, we're going to never see improvements. But there is a way we can. And of course, you're asking, what is that finite resource? Is it our time? We only have limited time. Is it our money? I know I feel like that sometimes, right? That's very finite. Is it our health? We can live, but if we don't live well, these are all important resources, but it's not our most important. Your most important resource is your attention. You may have heard people say that we live in an attention economy, which just means that companies will give you whatever you want for free if they can take your attention. And the reason is because they know that if they can get your attention, they have your pocketbook. But they have more than your pocketbook. Because what you pay attention to shapes the quality of your work, the trajectory of your career, the depth of your relationships, your view of the future, and your role in shaping it. In fact, the great Spanish philosopher, Jose Ortega y Gasset, said it like this: tell me what you pay attention to, and I will tell you who you are. And it's true. Your attention is the most valuable thing that you have. And any time that we feel like it's being stolen and we lose control of it, and it's being pulled in infinite directions, we will not be able to enjoy the things that we're doing, because our attention is hardwired in us for us to give it to the things that matter. It's literally the brain selection process. It's the filtering mechanism among nearly infinite inputs as to what's most important, which is why distraction, at its core, is confusion about what matters. And it turns out the way we're working today has no idea what attention actually does and how it works in our brains. And so what I want to do is offer an alternative to this. And I need to start by saying, this is the equation that we all think about, and we misunderstand the equation. So there's one of us, like if you think about it, there's one of us, we got things to do, places to go, and limited time to do it, right? And so this is how we're responding. We raise it up. How much more can we do in any segment? That's the goal. We call this efficiency, time management, and we celebrate it. We reward it. Like the perfect day. I woke up at 4 a.m. I got my vegan paleo smoothie as I'm running 20 miles. I get back. I've listened to the podcast. I've done my mindfulness. I've knocked out 3 hours of work in perfect efficiency. What have you been doing? Like that's the perfect day. And in fact, my fascination with attention started here. Because get this, when I was a kid, I was diagnosed with ADD. That's right. And now I study focus. Later on, my grandmother's going to do a session on how to use TikTok. And what I wanted to do was understand how I could get more work done. If I could just focus and be more efficient, I could do better at my job. And then I found out that equation is totally wrong. This is the actual way to create value. You don't create value or multiply value by dividing what's most valuable. The problem today, fundamentally, is that we can only be in one place, we can only do one thing at a time, pay attention to one group at a time, and that equation's never changed. And that's frustrating, because there are incredible places that I want to be. There's a lot of things I want to do. And what technology does is it creates the illusion that somehow these dimensions can be expanded, right? And they actually can be. What technology does is it gives us the chance to make decisions differently about what we want to do, where we want to do it, but in so doing, it confuses the entire way that that we manage our own attention. So here's what's interesting. What I found is the more focused or undivided attention you give to a single thing, the more you enjoy it. The more focus you give to a single thing, the faster you are at completing projects, the higher quality the work, the more value created. When we focus our attention, things grow and grow in value. When we divide our attention and manage as much as we can and make responsiveness our highest responsibility, we actually lose the entire value. And not just that, we're slower. The quality of work goes down. In fact, Harvard MBAs, when adding arithmetic to a basic writing assignment, the essay came back at a second grade level, which is why I tell leaders all over the world, if you want people to constantly be responsive, just hire second graders. None of them are doing good work. Right? So, and what happens when we do this is when we push our attention at the expense of all else, we actually have the chance to enjoy the work that we do. Because research reveals that type of work, that type of focus is more enjoyable than leisure, more enjoyable than nearly any activity that we do. And yet, here's the solution that companies are offering. We need to work less. Like somehow the problem in today's world is you're working too many hours, which by the way is true. We're seeing extending hours later and later. Work less, but as if the thing that we need most is another Netflix special. Like that's what's going to make us happy. No, we need work that we can actually accomplish, the ability to focus and the space to do it, so that when we get to the end of the day, we're not like 2/3 of workers where we can't even tell you what we did, much less why we did it. And so after all the years that I've gotten to study attention, I found that there's really 4 key areas that have an incredible impact on our ability to focus, even for someone with ADD, our ability to zoom in at the expense. So these 4 elements are really practical. We've seen them work at large companies. This is a framework that we use to look and see how is the structure of a company working. And it also works on an individual level. We call these the 4 C's, and so I want to share those with you. The first key to enjoying work is that you have to be able to do it. You have to have the capacity to get it done. When we receive over 100 emails a day, which on average 121 is more likely, at least in a corporate job, over 100 emails a day, we respond to less than 5%. When we're in meetings that are digital or Zoom, get this. After 30 to 40 minutes, beta and gamma waves go down in your brain, meaning you lose the ability to concentrate. After 2 hours, cortisol levels spike. So when I was working with a large company and we were trying to rearrange the workday and the leader said, no, you misunderstand. This is my day. Meeting. We wonder why people aren't happy, right? The more tasks that you have on your plate, the less energy you give to any of them. Fascinating research out of Stanford that shows that. It's lost in the middle. So here's a question. What would it look like to, rather than add, but to actually take things off your plate? What would it look like to, when working with other people, rather than creating a cycle where everyone keeps adding and adding and adding, that our primary goal would be to alleviate and reduce the burdens? One of my favorite activities that I recommend with clients is we talk about, we're going to throw a trash party. Everybody write down 5 things that you're taking off your plate. You're giving up. You're celebrating your limitedness so that you can focus on the few things that you actually can do. Number two, clarity. We don't work well when we don't know what matters. We only focus on things when we know with certainty that it's the only thing that matters in the entire world. Like the whole world. Which right now feels disingenuous at best, because how can what we're doing right now matter more than the health crisis, then the political crisis, then the economic crisis, then the social crisis. See, what technology does is it connects us to the whole world, but it brings the entire world's problems into our space. It brings everything here, which makes clarity very difficult. And whenever we lack clarity, I always ask people to adjust the zoom. Create the space that you need to zoom out and say, what is the meaning and purpose of the work? Might feel cheesy, but it is so deeply valuable. We will never work on things when we don't understand who it's helping deeply, how it's impacting deeply. This is how focus works. And then we have to zoom way in. What is the most important thing that I can do right here, right now? Right here, I'm right here. Because space, turns out, our focus is built by being in a particular place, doing particular work. And in fact, it's called cues in our brain. We go into a place and we say, this is the activity I'm to do here. We can't let the whole world confuse us about this. We must have clarity. Number 3, curiosity. I don't know if you've ever seen these maps from the 1500s, but there's one in particular in my office. It's called the Hunt Linux Globe, 1509. And on the map it says, Hic sunt dracones, Latin for here be dragons. Don't go there, is what it's saying. That they thought that if you went too far, you'd fall off the earth. And so what do? We got in boats and went. And it's that very spirit that has built suspension bridges, has transformed the world, has won Olympic gold medals, doing feats that surpass what we think is possible. Here's the deal. When we understand attention in your brain, we know that you are fundamentally wired to explore. There's 2 systems of attention. One is the first system, it's right hemisphere, or some would say bottom up, and it's constantly on the prowl, looking wide and far for new and novel stimulus. What's out there that is foreign that I need to understand, I need to learn about, I need to assess? And then there's this other system, and it zooms us in, and when we're zoomed in, nothing else matters. But both of those are built fundamentally on curiosity. I'm interested in a new world, or I'm interested in the thing that I'm doing. You're wired for exploration. So if you're not growing, if you're not learning, and if you're not experiencing the possibility of mastery, the challenge of a new feat, then there's no shot we'll ever enjoy it. We must cultivate our curiosity, because here's the other challenge we have. In a world where everything is available to us, things can easily lose our fascination. Turns out constraints are one of the critical elements of true curiosity. If you've ever had kids, you know this. Like birthday, happy with 1 gift. 34 gifts, bored. Right? It's the same for us. How do you cultivate curiosity in your work? Because it's not whether or not you like it. I've seen scuba instructors, I've worked with NBA all-stars, the partners at consulting firms that are bored to tears, don't enjoy their work. It's can you cut off the noise to allow the type of attention that's required to create fascination to occur. Finally, the last. For all of history, anthropologists will tell you that what has made humans successful is that we do it together. The world's too big for you to see everything, know everything, so we need each other. And when we're in a community of people, what we all need most is to know that we all agree on what matters. This used to be a lot easier. Like when you lived for all of history in a single cohesive community, if I was in charge of fishing and I got distracted, no one ate. What happens when you come to work to create the type of cohesion that would actually drive work? Because sometimes we don't like work, but we like and we value the people enough we're doing it alongside to work. Well, is it fly fishing you have in common? This is one of the great misnomers in the workplace today. We try to create culture through distraction, right? We put ping pong tables in. We have happy hour because we need people to like each other. And we fail to understand that what people have in common at work is work. Work. And if other people will value the work, if they point us towards the work, if we don't get in the way of the work, culture can be created. We must have a community that all values the work enough to give us the space to do it, so that we're not enemies, we're instead advocates for one another's ability to focus and work. But if we don't value the work, or the team doesn't, it's nearly impossible to focus on it. The good news is, we can actually enjoy our work. I don't know how to make you enjoy your work all the time, but I can say with absolute certainty how you can enjoy your work at any given time. And that will never occur when we don't have clarity on what we're doing actually mattering. It will never occur when it extends beyond our capacity. It will never occur when we don't have the ability to learn and grow, and it will never occur when the people we're around are the biggest enemies of our ability to do it. But it can occur as long as we celebrate the incredible, limited, finite nature of your attention. To make the nearly impossible choice to ignore the infinite, but create and put all of your undivided attention in one place, which is where infinite value can be created. When we give full, undivided attention to our work, we can love it and we can be great at it. When we give full, undivided attention to our families, they know that we're loved. The greatest gift we can give is this gift of our attention. This is why children, when not given attention, it's considered abuse. Because attention given says, you are valuable. But we will dissipate and divide and divide and divide and wonder why we aren't creating value and why we're so frustrated. The only way to enjoy work is to harness the power of your attention. Thank you.